questioning herself. Oh Allah, she's so afraid to be.
Assalamu alaikum everybody. So I've been wanting to do this video for a very long time, and it's basically about the reasons why I decided to become Muslim. Sorry if my voice is a little bit raspy. If you have been watching my other videos, it's because I first heard about Islam on 9/11, like I'm sure a lot of people heard about Islam on 9/11. I grew up in Jamaica, so Islam wasn't really a big part of my childhood at all. I was never exposed to any Muslims or anything like that growing up. All the media that we got, all the media that we got was probably Western influenced media, and was just portraying Muslims as terrorists and bad people, and telling us that, like, I remember having the perception of Muslims that they worshipped a black box in the desert and that they were all wicked people and like a whole bunch of stuff. And in Jamaica, like, growing up, I just thought, okay, cool, I'm gonna stay away from those people. I don't know what they believe in, but they're definitely not people to be friends with or people to hang around or mingle with. So that was the perception that I had about Muslims. 2005, I came to Canada, and I actually had my first experience with a Muslim person, which is actually kind of funny now thinking about it, because what happened was, the day that I got off the plane in Toronto, I saw a Muslim lady standing at the airport, and I guess she was waiting for a family member or something to get off the plane. And I remember my heart rate just speeding up, and I was so scared. And I just thought, this lady, what is she doing in the airport? Why isn't the security guard arresting her? She's gonna bomb the place. I didn't understand. Like, I was confused and I was shocked and I was just terrified. I was like, I did not feel safe around her, you know. And she wasn't doing anything, she was just waiting for her family or whatever. And I went to my aunt and I was like, why isn't she being arrested? What's going on? Like, pure anger. Like, I couldn't understand, you know. And my aunt just told me, she was like, I don't know what kind of people you think they are, but they're not all like that. So I remember thinking, wow, how could I have been so close-minded about a whole group of people just based on like what happened in 9/11. So I remember wanting to learn more about the people, I guess. Yeah, the people more than the religion. I didn't really think that the religion had anything to do with it. I just thought that the people, like Muslims, were like interesting people because I didn't know anything about them. So when I first started high school in Ottawa, it took me maybe about 2 years to get comfortable. Like, some of my best friends now are Muslim, and I think my first Muslim friend was the one who taught me the most about Islam, because she cleared up a lot of misconceptions that I had. So anyway, when I started becoming friends with her and she started just bringing me to her house and showing me like her family and stuff and like what they do, I was like, wow, these people are surprisingly normal. And I don't know what you guys believe, but Christianity is the right thing, and you guys need to convert to Christianity because you guys are going to hell either way. So that's what I thought about Muslim people. So I began talking to her about Christianity and telling her about Jesus and how he came to save us and how he died for us on the cross and all that stuff. And she was telling us, she was like, well, we believe in Jesus too. And I was like, what? What do you mean you believe in Jesus too? You believe in Jesus too? Okay, half the battle is won, you know? Come on, let's go. And she was like, no, but listen to what we believe in. So I listened to her, and what she told me about Jesus sound very, very like the same about what we believed in as a Christian. And so that's when I really, really got interested. And I was like, wow, I have to learn more about this religion, you know, because it's so close to Christianity and you guys are so close to being saved, and you just need to make that extra step. So I was actually very convinced and very adamant in Muslim people becoming Christian at first. And so that's how I really got introduced to the religion, because I was actually trying to learn more about Islam so that I could counter it with arguments from Christianity in order to get people who are Christian to become, people who are Muslim, sorry, to become Christian. So that resulted in me having more dialogue with more Muslim people and just opening my mind, I guess, to what Muslim people believe and what Islam was really about. And then I started thinking, wow, this really makes sense. And there are some questions that I always had growing up, some questions that I just little doubts and just holes, I guess, in my faith that weren't filled, that Christianity was just not fulfilling for me. And usually we're taught to just kind of overlook that and just have a general kind of overlapping faith and not to question too much, because like questioning can lead to you actually doubting altogether. And that's what ended up happening to me, because I questioned so much Christianity. When I started reading more and more about Islam, I started questioning Christianity so much that I started realizing, wow, this really doesn't make any sense at all. So the thing about the main difference about Islam and between Islam and Christianity is that Islam has an answer for everything. There is nothing in Islam that anybody will tell you, okay, just believe. There's an answer for everything, and that really, really helped my inquisitive mind. In 2000 and maybe 7 or 8, I started, like, I really became convinced that this was the religion that I wanted to be a part of, and this really started to make sense to me. But I didn't want any of the responsibility to in being a Muslim. I didn't want responsibility of people asking me about it, because I didn't know that much about it. I didn't want, like, I just didn't want to call that down on myself yet, I guess. I wasn't ready for that. So even though I was convinced that Islam was the right thing, I was just putting it off. It was my bargaining phase. It was my, okay, I'm gonna be Muslim but not yet, or I'm gonna wear hijab but not yet, or I'm gonna be Muslim but I'm not really gonna pray, or just, it was a turbulent time. So in that time, I fasted during Ramadan. I started covering up gradually, slowly weaning myself into it. Definitely talking about it, telling everyone I knew, this is a sick religion, you guys have to, like, check this out. Definitely promoting it, but just not really practicing it in myself. Then I just became really interested in Black history, and I guess that's kind of fitting because it's Black History Month in which I took my Shahada. But I became really interested in the slave trade and just what happened to America specifically, like, and Americans that came from Africa during the slave trade. And I just started realizing that Christianity had so much a part to do with this, and that Black people had been so indoctrinated, I guess, by the Christian faith that I couldn't be a part of it anymore. I could not call myself a Christian knowing what Christians had done to Black people. So I guess that was a motivating factor in me wanting to become Muslim, because Muslim is what the slaves were before they were Christian. So I figured that the only way to truly go back to my roots was to become Muslim. Of course, there are many other, like, factors that I really can't get into just for the sake of time, but that was one of the big ones that I can remember. In Islam, that there's only one God, and that you can worship that God without an intercessor. I don't know if that's the right word, but you don't have to pray to anyone to ask God to help you. Like, you can just ask God. So I really like that. February of 2010, I went to, it was early February, no, maybe like mid-February, I went to a party in 2010, and what ended up happening is somebody brought a gun to the party, and it just turned into a very dangerous situation. And then I can just remember being in the midst of all that chaos and going, wow, if I am to die right now, I'm not even going to be Muslim. And that was a really scary thing for me. So I just decided that that Friday coming up, I was going to take my Shahada, and that Friday was February 25th. So it's been, 4 days since the anniversary of the day I took my Shahada. But alhamdulillah, I'm very happy now. Never once have I regretted it or said, okay, what if this isn't right or anything like that, because I researched it and I did a lot of I put a lot into it before I made the decision. What else did I want to talk about? Okay, the hijab. I'm probably going to do another video just because that's kind of a separate or a longer story on its own, but I didn't intend to actually wear a hijab when I took my Shahada. I just intended to become Muslim, and that's it. And but I was wearing a hijab in the mosque on that day, and the girl who I was with, she just told me that your faith and your courage is never going to be as strong as it is right now when you're making this decision, so you might as well just try to ride this wave of emotion so that you can just experience it, you know, for 1 day. So just wear the hijab, try it out for 1 day, and if you don't like it, you don't have to wear it, you know. And I was like, okay, it can't hurt. So then I tried it and I loved it, and I never wanted to take it off again after that. My advice for non-Muslims would be to please ask a Muslim. If you have a question, there is nobody more willing or more happy to answer your question than a Muslim person. Nobody can tell you about Islam unless they're Muslim. Like, in my opinion, if you want to know something, just go directly to the source, you know, and you will get, most of the time, accurate information. And my advice for Muslims is that nowadays we're being kind of singled out in the media, and although it can look like a bad thing, I think it's a great opportunity for us to give dawah. I mean, Islam is so pure and it's so beautiful and there's really nothing to hide. So, you know, bring it on. I think that the media giving us more attention is only going to show the world how good of a people and how good of a religion this really is. So I think that the advice that I have to Muslims is just to keep striving in your deen, keep doing you, and, you know, inshallah, everything is gonna turn out okay. Because I've been looking at just some statistics about the amount of people that converted after 9/11, and it's really amazing what bad media can do for you, because you get a lot of questions when there's media attention. So yeah, that's just the story, a little bit of the story about why I came to Islam. There are obviously a lot more layers and a lot more details, but that's the abridged version. So thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, or send me a message and I'll answer them as to the best of my ability, or direct you to somebody that I know that can answer them. Okay.
How many words she's read before? She's consumed 2,000 books or more. Musty pulp and glue, soundproof.